provided by...
How about no?
No.
No way.
Come on, no.
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 Only Discover has no annual fee on any card.
You know, the piano's just a prop for me, but for David Foster, well, he can make magic with these keys. He and his wife, Catherine McPhee, have been giving us a little corona relief with the Dave and Cat Show on Instagram. I had a chance to chat with them. Take care, everybody. See you tomorrow.
We got our own private concert, David playing songs from his new album, 11 Words, his 16 Grammys on the top of his piano.
You marry Catherine, and does it like inject is she kind of like a muse for you?
Let's ask her, shall we? She is full entertainment 100% of the time.
Hello.
Catherine, how are you?
I'm good.
This is the opening to our show, but the lyrics change every night. This was the American Idol opening. Hi, I'm Dave. You probably know
That I got my start on a singing show.
Also, you broke out that dress from 14 years ago? Come on.
You know, I have to thank my mom for that. My mom kept my original jacket that I wore when I first met Simon and Paula and Randy, and she...
Happening now.
A severe thunderstorm watch is in effect. We're still monitoring the radar for more development. I'll have the latest information and talk about the potential for severe weather coming up in a few minutes.
City Council officially extending the mayor's declaration of a public health emergency through April 30th. But officials say that's no goal line. Why we could see restrictions last even longer.
The COVID-19 pandemic having an impact on pre-K for SA. When you'll be able to weigh in on keeping it or scrapping it.
Is the food you eat safe? What about raw produce? And what about takeout food from restaurants? Coming up, an expert weighs in.
Because of the coronavirus pandemic and those stay-at-home orders, jury summons and jury trials are now on hold. We'll have a report from the courthouse. The News at 5 starts right now.
And first at 5, more than 10,000 cases, 1,000 recoveries, and about 200 deaths. Those are the numbers we're seeing for COVID-19 across the state.
We're going to continue our coronavirus coverage in just a moment, but first, we want to tell you about a severe thunderstorm watch that is underway this evening. We're keeping our eyes on developing storms.
Yeah, let's check in with Adam Caskey for what we can expect. Adam.
Well, I do want to point out that severe thunderstorm watch is through 10 p.m. So that's basically our threat window from now all the way through about 10 p.m. And that's for the chance of strong to severe storms because conditions are there. We just have to basically mix all the ingredients together to materialize these storms. And it looks like the ingredients are starting to come together. And right now we've got a little bit of activity just west of San Antonio, east of Hondo. This is something we're going to watch very closely. It's small, not a big thunderstorm now, but of course has the potential to blossom into something here as it progresses eastward. We'll keep a close eye on that. Moving into the Dilley area, very lit up thunderstorm, not severe right now, but along I-35 south of Pearsall, between Pearsall and Cotulla, it's where this storm is tracking off to the northeast and a little bit of development, just light showers in the hill country. We're really monitoring action farther to the west of us and how that's going to develop as we go through the afternoon and evening, with the primary threats being large hail and maybe even some straight line winds. Another update coming up in a few minutes.
Thank you, Adam. April 30th. As expected, that's how long the City Council agreed this morning to keep the mayor's latest declaration of a public health emergency in effect with all of the current restrictions. But as Garrett Berger tells us, that may not be the end of it. We may be in for a long haul.
The vote today officially extends the mayor's declaration of a public health emergency through the end of the month. But officials say that is not the finish line. The extension just gets the city's order in line with the states, counties, and other communities. Assistant City Manager Colleen Bridger said they're working with experts to determine when the pandemic could be over. She said there are many details they can work out about when they can start loosening restrictions, but it's hard to think that far in advance since we haven't hit the peak yet here. And she doesn't think this pandemic will be over in San Antonio by April 30th.
I don't know what that means for extending the order or not extending the order, but I do think we need to prepare ourselves for the fact that we are not returning to normal on April 30th.
Mayor Ron Nirenberg said it was up to the council to determine the end date for the current declaration, but they should be prepared to go beyond April.
I think the expectation has been very clear from Dr. Bridger that these dates are
not magical. There's a lot of data analysis that will be informed. So anyone who's under the impression that this is all over on May 1st should be corrected in that.
Councilwoman Anda Sandoval was the lone vote against extending the emergency declaration. While she said she supports the spirit of the order, she believes there are other things the city should consider too. Coming up at 6, hear more from Councilwoman Sandoval herself. Outside City Council chambers, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
And don't forget, you can get the latest updates from Mayor Ron Nirenberg and County Judge Nelson Wolff tonight live during our 6 o'clock newscast. And you can track cases in your community right now on KSAT.com. The pandemic also prompting a unanimous vote from City Council to move a 1/8 cent sales tax extension for pre-K for essay funding to the November ballot. This comes less than 2 months after Council voted to put it on the May ballot. Pre-K for essay runs 4 centers across the city, the majority of its funding generated from the sales tax. The current tax expires at the end of March, but it has enough money to last through the 2021 school year.
3 new HEB employees from separate locations have tested positive for COVID-19. Here's what we know right now. 1 employee at the HEB on South W.W. White Road last worked on March 31st. Another employee at the Nacogdoches and Thousand Oaks location was last working at the store on April 1st. And a 3rd employee at the Bandera and Gilbo HEB last working there on April 3rd. There are now 5 stores where an HEB partner has tested positive. All employees who had contact with 3 individuals have been notified. All the stores, meantime, have been disinfected. The number of HEB partners who have tested positive is currently standing at 5.
With just a week remaining before the moratorium on jury duty and jury trials expires, the order has been extended. Paul Venema with the new date and what that means for trial dockets.
Since March 13th, the seats here in the central jury room have been empty. That was when Administrative Judge Ron Rangel ordered that jury trials cease and jury duty suspended. That order now has been amended.
I just filed an order that would extend the moratorium on jury trials and jury summons through May the 15th.
However, that date, Rangel said, could change.
That May 15th is not an absolute date where we're going to begin subsequent to that. That is just from now until then. That's another month where we're not going to call juries, another month where we're not going to have any jury trials in Bexar County.
He said the 10 criminal district courts now have 80 more cases each than when the pandemic started.
It's going to mean a lot more work when we come back, but we're looking forward to doing that. Obviously, we would rather have extra work and not have to worry about these types of issues.
The issue, this pandemic that has left this place looking more like a ghost town than a courthouse. Paul Venema, KSAT 12 News.
Deadly days in the COVID battle projected this weekend, with peaks in the death toll and demand for hospital resources expected in coming days. As Nadia Romero reports, current and emerging hotspots are preparing as best they can, while new numbers show another severe toll on the U.S. economy in the midst of all of this.
As New York State sees some signs of relief.
The hospitalization rate does suggest that it's coming down, and we are flattening the curve.
The state's coronavirus death toll was up again Wednesday, and emerging hotspots are escalating preparations like Baltimore and Washington, D.C.
We think that we're in a later wave of rising infections and hospitalizations, and that's what we're planning for.
The White House Coronavirus Task Force, also including Philadelphia in that group. City officials are more optimistic.
The numbers still continue to rise, but really just in the past 2 or 3 days is the first time I'm starting to feel a little more optimistic that the steps we're doing to make a difference.
And Illinois saw cases rise Wednesday. In Chicago, a refrigerated warehouse has been set up to ease potential morgue overcrowding. The Labor Department, meanwhile, said another 6.6 million Americans filed for unemployment benefits last week, while President Trump is eager to get workers and the economy going again. As early as May, medical experts warn against timelines.
I'm concerned that we're setting dates and not listening to the virus. The virus is going to tell us when it's safe to open up again.
Modeling from the University of Washington suggests a peak in the U.S. daily death toll this Sunday. In Washington, I'm Nadia Romero.
Older adults and some people with underlying medical conditions may be at a higher risk for severe illness from the novel coronavirus. For those who might fall into the high-risk group, there are some precautions to take.
We may be months into the corona crisis, but it's still considered a new disease, and much remains unknown. Based on the current data, high-risk populations include people aged 65 and older or living in a nursing home or long-term care facility. Other high-risk people include those with chronic lung disease or asthma, serious heart conditions, or conditions that weaken the immune system, like cancer treatment and smoking. The CDC also considers diabetic or severely obese patients as high risk. It's important to know whether your medical condition may place you in this high-risk group and reach out to a medical provider. If you are considered high risk, you should especially be cautious and more closely follow all preventative measures. The CDC says you should stay home as much as possible, wash your hands often, avoid close contact, and maintain a distance from others, especially a 6-foot distance from those who are sick. Clean and disinfect surfaces frequently, and avoid all cruise travel and non-essential air travel.
If you are at a higher risk for severe illness from COVID-19, you might be experiencing more stress than other folks. To combat the anxiety, try taking a break from being inside, go outdoors, take a stretch, go for a jog, use the time to meditate, or just take a moment to connect with loved ones virtually.
The San Antonio Food Bank taking its mega food distribution to an entirely new level at Traders Village. The event started at 10 a.m. this morning, but there was a line before the sun was even up. Today's mega distribution, the fourth for the food bank, the goal to send more than 5,000 families home with enough groceries for the entire month.
The largest single distribution we've ever done, more than 1 million pounds of food coming from our warehouse, fresh fruits, frozen items, really good items, but you think about that, that's 2 grocery carts full.
The food bank has another mega distribution event planned for next week. Head to the website on your screen for more information and to pre-register.
It is known for its whiskey and its vodka, but Rebecca Creek Distillery is getting into a new, more charitable business. Like many other distilleries across the country, Rebecca Creek has started creating sanitizer. The process started about 9 days ago, and so far 16,000 liters have been donated to first responders. Today's donation received by members of the Bulverde Fire and Police Departments.
The responders are out there calling on everybody. They need to be protected. So this is they're a great community for us. So this is what we can do to help out.
Eisen says that shifting production has not only helped first responders, it's also given his employees the opportunity to continue working through this pandemic.
You know, it seems like everyone making an effort to help each other out these days. And yesterday, our KSAT community partners, along with you, our viewers, stepped up in a big way to help out the children's shelter on our Wish List Wednesday. Together, more than $25,000 in donations were raised, more than 1,000 items purchased from the children's shelter's Amazon wish list, totaling more than $20,000. When asked about what this means for the shelter and the kids there, here's what they had to say.
Even though during this time of a global pandemic, our community has said, what can we do? How can we help? And I think that matters because even despite everything that's been going on, it's incredible to see our community come together.
It does matter. If you're still interested in donating, you can get all the information you need on ksat.com/community. You've been at home for a few weeks. Maybe you've run out of things to cook or you've been hit by a certain craving. Either way, chances are you've been to the grocery store or have taken a trip through a drive-thru. Up next at 5, tips on how to safely handle the food you bring into your home. Even as we stay home and social distance, we still need to eat. That may mean the occasional trip to the grocery store or drive-thru. But one question we hear from our viewers is how safe is the food? 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz on the risks and things you can do at home to be food safe.
Hey, Mom.
Is your food safe? The CDC says there's no current evidence that COVID-19 is spread by food. While theoretically you could pick up an apple that an infected person touched, health experts say food isn't the bigger risk.
We believe that you have more of a chance of getting the coronavirus from another person that is not maintaining the social distancing than you can from fruits and vegetables.
Dr. James Rogers is Director of Food Safety Research at Consumer Reports. When it comes to raw produce, he says normal safety practices apply.
If we're talking about fruits and vegetables, you rinse them under running water. You use a scrub brush if they have a peel to scrub the outside. And then you eat them normally.
He says don't use soap. That can lead to a stomach illness. Cooking foods to the proper temperature, he says, should kill coronavirus, just as it kills E. coli or salmonella. A lot of us are patronizing restaurants at the drive-thru or curbside. Is that safe?
We believe that getting your food from takeout is probably the least riskiest.
That's because of social distancing.
If you do takeout, you bring the food into your home, take off the outer wrapping and throw that away immediately.
If you're concerned, wipe down the packaging.
Or you can transfer that food into another container from your own kitchen that you know is clean.
As an extra precaution, zap hot takeout in your microwave. Wipe down surfaces, and most important, wash your hands before you eat. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
All right, check this out. Powerful images on the cover of Time magazine this month. The cover featuring the faces of 5 heroes, people on the front lines of fighting the pandemic. Healthcare workers, pharmacists, grocery store employees, people delivering food. They're the ones making it all happen. On the inside, you're going to find their stories and stories of inspiration and courage from all around the world.
Looking outside, we saw some sun today, but look at that. You can see a shower from live cam, from city cam. I'm wondering, is this moving closer to town now?
Well, I believe that's the thunderstorm just east of Hondo in Medina County, right along Highway 90, that would be headed eastward into Bexar County and San Antonio. And the one that we're really keeping the closest eye on right now in terms of anything in and around town, because that could continue to blossom as it moves eastward towards San Antonio. So let's get to it, taking a look at first the primary threats as we go into this afternoon, well, late afternoon and evening. Large hail is the primary threat with our severe potential and even some straight line winds. We could run into some flash flooding, but the risk is on the lower end. Same with tornado threat. It's not zero, but it's pretty low. Now, I do want to point out this polygon, this yellow, well, not box anymore, but this yellow shape has been modified a bit by the Storm Prediction Center as we have a cold front moving southward, and now it looks like the primary threat zone is basically San Antonio, New Braunfels, southwestward, down just to about Eagle Pass and eastward. So everybody within those yellow lines is still under that severe thunderstorm watch until 10 p.m. The farther behind the cold front in the hill country, we don't really foresee as much of a threat anymore. Still a few showers, but not the remaining threat for severe weather. Now, this is a lit up thunderstorm, heavy rainfall with it, maybe some pea-size hail, so not damaging, headed toward Pearsall. This is basically between Dilley and Pearsall along I-35 where we're seeing this activity go. So be prepared for that. Again, nothing severe with that right now. This is the shower we were looking at from Sky 12, and it has really blossomed over the past 45 minutes or so. Still not strong or severe. It's a good downpour, but it's getting more lightning and showing some indications and signs of strengthening. So this is basically the main cell that we're watching the closest that could be moving into San Antonio right now. And of course, we could still get more development elsewhere as the afternoon and evening goes by. So that's a close one we're watching as it moves eastward into the hill country. Just some scattered, very light rainfall. But overall, we could see more development here in the next couple of hours, and some of our computer models are actually hinting at that. Notice by 6 o'clock, one of our models is really showing some scattered activity, becoming a little more organized by 7, 8 p.m. It may be overdoing it just a little bit, but it's also onto something, I think, in terms of more development out there compared to what we've seen so far today. Then the activity starts to move eastward, and by 10, 11 o'clock, maybe some action farther south of town as we have this cold front. So speaking of the cold front, notice our wind out of the north at 16 here, north wind along Highway 90. That's that little boundary that's been dropping southward, and it's going to continue to push southward. Now, the farther you get behind that cold front, the less your chances of severe weather. Okay, so that's one nice thing about having this cold front. As with our enhanced risk of severe weather today, this will start to mitigate it in the coming hours, but there's that threat still through 10 p.m. for parts of our area. So scattered storms likely through the evening, even into the nighttime hours, some action toward midnight, but I think most of it's starting to come to an end. Temperatures. And we made it to 89 for the high temperature today, but we'll fall into the 70s this evening. And we're going to start the day tomorrow right around 60 degrees. Noticeably cooler. 60 in the morning, 72 by the afternoon. Mainly gray, but I am expecting a little bit of sunshine to show its face for the afternoon hours. Then we get into the weekend and some scattered showers and storms possible as we get into Saturday, 80 degrees. Saturday night up till about sunrise on Easter. We think there's a shot at some thunderstorms, a 60% chance, but by and large, Easter is looking sunny and 84, then much cooler in the 60s next week.
Wow, what a change next week. Put the sweaters back on.
Yeah, there is a lot riding on football happening in the fall.
People don't realize, I think most people do, I guess, college football is a huge business. And when we come back here, we're going to learn about how the Big 12 is facing shortfalls from their commissioner and how high school football coaches are complying with the new COVID restrictions coming up. Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby says he is concerned that they will not have a full college football season this fall due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In an interview with ESPN, Bowlesby says schools rely heavily on football revenue and already has implemented a 10% across the board in salary cuts in the conference offices, eliminating all year-end bonuses, and is anticipating only $10 million from the NCAA instead of projected $24 million. And he says the cancellation of the Big 12 basketball tournament prior to March Madness has already cost the conference over $6.5 million. Like Texas Aggies are no longer in the Big 12, but like that conference, they face their own challenges with one of the big-name schools in the SEC. In a wide-ranging interview with Aggie Athletic Director Ross Bjork this week from College Station, he echoed Bowlesby's concerns about the college football season starting on time this fall, the possibility of splitting the season into fall and spring games, and how that might affect the start of next season as well. We asked Director Bjork if he had any words of encouragement for the Aggie faithful in these stressful times.
There is going to be an end to this. We are going to come back together. We are going to play games. It's a fabric of really who we are as a country, and college sports is so important. And so that's what we have to keep in mind. It's tough right now. We're isolated. We're all at home. We're in the dark. We have these backgrounds that we're not used to. Our kids are, hollering in the background, working at home. But there's going to be a time and a place where we get back together as Aggies, and that's going to be so much fun.
And you can see the rest of this interview with the Aggie Athletic Director Ross Bjork this Sunday night on Instant Replay after the night beat. All San Antonio area school districts are closed until May 4th at least, and all spring sports has been postponed by the University Interscholastic League, including spring football, due to the new social distancing rules imposed by government and health officials. This is how school coaches are holding their position meetings during these unprecedented times. This is how it's done for the Brandeis coaching staff for now, and they're not alone.
First, we, connected with them and wanted to make sure they were okay and what their needs are. And now that we've kind of both become accustomed, adult and student athlete, I think now we're in a place where we can kind of look at the extracurriculars and preparing for those things now that we know that everybody's in a good place.
See, even the coach is in compliance right there, and it's kind of a learn by doing. This is how they're having to go through it right now.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
We'll be right back.
All right, take a look at how that thunderstorm just west of San Antonio has blossomed over the past hour. It continues to push to the northeast at about 17 miles per hour, so it's just about to clip 1604 on the northwest side of town. If it stays on track, I anticipate it making it to Helotes a little after 6 p.m. That would be the timing of the main part of that thunderstorm. So we'll keep an eye on this and, of course, let you know how it's all going to pan out for the rest of the evening. Otherwise, as we get into tomorrow, mainly gray, a few light showers here and there, better chances of rain as we get into Friday night, or I should say Saturday night, but clearing out for Sunday.
Thanks, Adam, and thank you for watching the News at 5 with us.
World News up next. See you back here.